Hi friends, welcome again in my channel. Arnav badly scolded the USA representative and told USA that India does not take USA too seriously anymore. Till now PM Modi and the NDA government have not given any reaction on the tariff hike. India is taking its steps very thoughtfully. Watch this debate.
Now, Pastor, I start with you. You see, we have a very tough Prime Minister. He's given a clear statement today. He says, see, you can do what you want. And his exact words are, I'm willing to pay any price, personally and in any way, but for me only three things matter. India, India, India. Indian farmers, Indian dairy producers, and the people of India, Indian fishermen. So this has failed, Pastor. The pressure tactic has failed. Your reaction?
Well, first of all, I don't think that it's most definitely too early to suggest that that has failed. The reality is this, and again, India is a growing power, and you guys are growing, but the Prime Minister is risking his legacy and the future of his election, because the reality is India cannot fight a long-term or survive a long-term trade war with the United States of America. The reality is we're 7 times larger in your economy than India is. India still depends heavily on access to our markets. And so for a long term, India just simply cannot survive. You have, Mr. Rahul Gandhi and others who are nipping at the butt. And so
Sorry, but
you can laugh, but my point is the Prime Minister, how smart and wise that he may be, you have folks who are nipping at the butt and they're niching, at the opportunity, because if the economy of India continues to fail, and it will, in a long-term trade war with America. But let me also say this. You're speaking about why allowing China to buy oil and then punishing India, who's supposed to be our friends. Let's just be clear. China is a dictator communist country. They align with Russia. You don't treat your adversaries the same as you treat your allies. There's a difference. China aligns with Russia. They are adversaries to America. And so India, on the other hand, is a strategic partner. We are supposed to be hand in hand together. One, you punish. China, you punish. India should know better. The president's desire is to end the war in Ukraine. Why would we, as friends, allow India to fund a warlord dictator war in Russia by buying cheap Russian oil, while at the same time gain access to the massive U.S. markets that India right now so heavily depends on for the economy? And so it is not fair. You can't have both. You're literally playing what we would call on the fence, and you can't do that. Either we are friends or we're not. The president, and not only that, India risks not just alienating the United States of America, but you also risk alienating your position on a global stage with the European nations who are also punishing Russia for viciously attacking Ukraine. So you're not just fighting the United States of America in this trade war. You're risking losing your national position, your global, position on the world stage, because other European nations are joining in these very same sanctions against Russia.
Have you finished? Have you finished, Pastor? Are you going to expend all your armory right in the first answer tonight? Because you see,
no,
I can, now listen, Pastor. I will only say 2 things to you. I'll pass it on after that. First of all, be very clear about one thing. Don't talk like that. Don't say, who are you? Who are you? I would say, who are you? 1 minute. When you keep saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, I would turn around to you and say, Pastor, you Americans, who are you to even say anything to us? You have an exaggerated sense of self-importance. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have a bloated...
Well, I agree.
1 minute, allow me now. Now listen to me when I'm giving it back hard, right? Yeah, I haven't even pulled out my uppercut. Now the question is here today, Pastor. When you say this, you got to understand how small you actually are, how insignificant you are. Because you are I'll tell you why. Because as far as we are concerned, if we have exports of about $800 billion or so with you, this impacts 5% of that. 5%. You do not impact our GDP more than 0.2%. In terms of tariffs, if you impose 50% to 100%, you will at the most impact $40 billion. That is very small for a country of India's size. That's 5% of our exports to you. We can live with that. So you are not important, point number one. Okay? Please be absolutely and clinically clear about it. It does not affect us. Clear? Now I repeat that question to you. Well, you obviously don't understand economics, so you're laughing there. Or you don't have an answer to me, probably. You don't have an answer to me. That's more likely, the more likely. Now, point is, when he was asked, why do you import uranium hexafluoride from Russia? Trump looked like a thief who'd been caught with his hand in the cookie jar. He said, I'm not going to deny it. He could have denied it, but he did not, because a brave reporter asked him that you're such a hypocrite. You are buying uranium hexafluoride for your nuclear plants from a country that gives it to you, which is Russia. And Trump tried to look away. He should have given a clear answer there. He did not. Just the way you can't answer any of my questions here today. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can't. Why do you buy uranium hexafluoride and palladium from Russia? I'll play the soundbite, ladies and gentlemen. Just listen to this one, okay? Just look at how hesitant he looks. Just look at his body language out there. Let's play it. Let's play it with that window. Let's play it.
India says that the US imports Russian uranium, chemicals, fertilizers, while criticizing their energy imports. Your response to that, sir?
I don't know anything about it. I'd have to check, but we'll get back to you on that. Yeah, please.
Ajay, I don't know anything about it. I'll have to check on that. Next question, please.
Well, let me just say this.
Ajay, you heard that. Ajay Bagga from Mumbai.
Yeah,
I'm going to answer.
Arnav, overall, if you see the opening remarks from the pastor, unfortunately, in their quest to make America great again, they're making America alone. This is not the way that you treat a friend, a friendly nation, a democratic nation. You are not trying to build up friends. You want vassals.
India should not be playing both sides.
You have done a,
India is playing both sides.
I was quiet while you were talking. Listen to me. Listen to me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Europe was charging you 1.5% tariffs. You made it 0% tariff, and the president is saying, I've got the most beautiful deal in the world. What was the big deal in reducing 1.5 to 0? Korea, which had a free trade agreement, you went and put 25% tariffs on them. Now you have agreed at 15%. They were total charging you 0.79%. You took it to 0, and you're showing it, we have vanquished the Koreans. The Japanese had a total tariff weighted average of under 2%. You've taken it to 0%. India, if you take the weighted average tariff, we are at 4.6%. It is no big deal for us to bring it down to 0%. What we don't want, what you had to do when you took on the Chinese in 2018-19 and they stopped buying your farm produce, every year you had to put extra $30 billion of subsidies to your farmers. Again, that situation is reached because guess what? The Chinese bought a lot of Brazilian soya, Brazilian corn in January, in the January harvest. This harvest in the US is not getting picked up. The Europeans are not buying because they need a carbon certificate, which the Canadians are giving. So Canadian corn and soya is going to Europe. American is not going. You will have to subsidize, and you will dump it all in these complying nations. India has to protect its farmers. It has to protect its small dairy farmers, its fishery exports. Yep. That is what a fishery industry. That is the only thing India has put in. Second, a friend does not hyphenate you with a rogue nation, a failed nation, a terror sponsor where you had killed Osama bin Laden. You 30 times, President Trump has said, I called up both the countries and I held up the specter of taking away their trade, and they agreed to a ceasefire. On the floor of the parliament, our Prime Minister has said, I did not speak to any leader of the world.
Okay, Pastor, thank you.
That's the thing.
Thank you for interrupting. But my point here tonight is always remember every day, Pastor. You're a spiritual guy, I'll tell you something you relate to. Every morning when you wake up, and every night when you go to sleep, Pastor, remind yourself that you are a citizen of a 200-year-old country. A new country called USA. And India is a 10,000, China, 10,000-year-old civilizations. Talk with respect. Talk with respect, Pastor. As a citizen of a 200-year-old country, you're speaking to a 10,000-year-old civilization. Talk with respect. Talk with respect, or don't talk at all. And now, please listen here. Don't try all these heresies with me. Now listen to Tatiana. Tatiana, what's the significance of today's meeting at the Kremlin and Putin coming to India soon?
Oh, look, Arnav, I think this is a very, very significant meeting. But also, let's just remember that, the pastor can talk a very, very loud conversation, but we do understand that India still has 21 days to respond to the tariffs, which brings us to our previous conversation over the fact that Donald Trump is playing hardball, but this is essentially a bluff to begin with. He is waiting for India to respond. In the meantime, the announcement of the president's visit and even the meeting, the visuals that you're showing today are just what they're supposed to be. This is a powerful statement by two powerful nations saying that, look, you cannot hardball countries like India, you cannot hardball countries like Russia. This is just not the way you deal with big nations. You can bully Europeans, but not big nations and powerful nations that have the right absolutely to their own national interests, and they will pursue them because this is it is not an America-centered world anymore, and you just have to learn to live in this world, Pastor. You and Donald Trump, both.
Right, Charles? This is going to get expensive for Americans, Charles. You understand that?
It's already going up. 50% tariffs on Brazil. You know what that's going to do to the cost of the coffee that every American has every morning? Huge increase. This is not going to work. And that's why I'm hopeful that there will be a political backlash against a set of Trump policies that are incredibly Make America great again? Why is he destroying the best universities? Why is he defunding basic research? Why is he firing the federal...
No, Arnav, overall, if you look at the debt level of the US, it's $37 trillion. The world has invested $15 trillion in America. America pays the world about $100 billion as interest every year. And their interest has gone to $1.2 trillion. It's more than social security payouts. It's more than what they spend on defense, more than what they spend on healthcare.
Yes.
Much more than they spend on education. So it's a country which is having a deficit per year, more than 6% of GDP, running more than $1 trillion of deficit, fiscal deficit.
Trump is anyway a talkative president, and he gives his statement without thinking or understanding anything. Hiking the tariff on India is a big mistake by USA. USA experts have also given a warning to Trump that this is going to cause huge losses on years. But he is sticking to his stubbornness.